Hello and welcome to Voice of Her Own and Living and Learning. I'm Allison Kinnear, and every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, I jump onto Facebook Live and I talk about living and learning. This month, for the month of November, we are talking about that primal need, that primal urge in us of wanting to be liked. And this is kind of the final installation of this. This question was inspired by one of my friends who talked about, gosh, it's so hard when we want to be liked, and how do we get over that? And what we've been talking about is how that is just wired into our DNA. We want to be in connection with people. That is how we are programmed as humans. And so today what I wanted to focus on was what can we do, and particularly as we enter into the holiday season, what can we do to support ourselves when that fear of not being liked can be so prominent? So what can we do to kind of flip the script or turn it around and see things in a different way? One of the quotes that I shared earlier on Facebook was this quote from Brene Brown, who says, essentially, when you look for signs of not belonging in the world, you will find it. And so we have to, one of the things that we can do in order to, if we're looking at people worried that we will not be liked, then we will find evidence of that. And so what we can do is kind of train our brains so that if we find ourselves worrying about not being liked, we can interrupt that and interrupt that pattern and remind ourselves, of what we can, of who does like us, of how we are liked. So what we can do is interrupt that. When we search for signs that we don't belong, or we search for signs that we're not being liked, we will find that. But the converse is true as well. If we look for signs that we belong, if we look for signs that we are liked and we are loved, then we will find that as well. So the question then remains for us is, what do you want? Do you want to look for signs that you don't belong? Or do you want to look for signs that you do? And for those of us who value self-reflection, who value wanting to be aware of ourselves and growing, that's not going to turn off. I know for me, I really struggled with that when I would find myself, okay, what happens if I step into my confidence? What happens if I step into believing I'm enough? What happens if I step into people like me? What happens if I step into that belief? Does that mean I'm going to be a cocky, arrogant, discompassionate person because I think I'm all that? What I found to happen is that was my fear, that was my worry, but that was not what happened. What happened is the more I stepped into my confidence, the more I stepped into, oh, that's right, these are my people. These are the people who love me and care about me and are encouraging towards me. The more I stepped into that, the better I felt. But I was still self-reflective. I still had that self-reflective piece to be like, oh, I think I could have done this instead of that. Or, ooh, I didn't come across the way I wanted to. Like, that didn't go away. That part still remains. It's like once you've built that muscle, it's still there and you still want to use it. You still want to employ it. But you don't have to use it to the point where you start going down these rabbit holes of things that aren't necessarily true. That people don't like you, that people are going to be offended by you, that people are going to be whatever. And if people do respond where they don't like you, then those are not your people. We don't need to be liked by everyone. And I know a lot of people say that, and I know that makes sense from a logical point of view, but from an emotional point of view, it's a hard thing to swallow that not everyone's going to like us. And so something that we can do to kind of cushion that blow is to remember all the people who do love you, who do like you, all the people that you have that genuine connection with. I love the soundtrack for The Greatest Showman on Earth. And there's a song called This Is Me. And one of the things one of the lyrics in that is, when the sharpest knives want to cut me down, I'm going to send a flood, going to drown it out. And what I think about that line, when the sharpest knives want to cut me down, when people are not liking me, I'm going to send a flood and drown it out. What is that flood? To me, it's a flood of love. It is a flood of connection. It is a flood of empathy for the people who are around you. We can kind of lose sight. We can get hyper-focused in those people that we struggle with, or the people who struggle with us, the people who we're not connecting with, the people who maybe we like them, but they don't like us. Like, we can hyper-focus on that. And we can forget the flood that surrounds us, the flood of people, the flood of spiritual beliefs, that flood of love and belonging that just is. And so what we can do is tune into that, and not get lost in the script of one person, of one dynamic that's not working out. So it's a little bit of like, perhaps that's not my people. I've heard friendships last for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Sometimes friends come in and out of our lives for a reason, for just a brief period of time. Sometimes friends come in for a season of our lives, and sometimes friends are there for the lifetime. And we don't always know right from the get-go what those friends will be, because sometimes those seasons last a long time, and sometimes those seasons come to an end. So, and perhaps they might come again for another season of our lives. We don't know. But as we grow and change and evolve, so do the people around us. So we can remind ourselves of that love and connection that we do actually have. We can seek that out, because I'll tell you, life is so much better, and you will not lose your capacity to be self-reflective and to figure out, oh, am I showing up the way I want to show up? That will still remain. So that is what I leave you with. And I think in this time of Thanksgiving coming tomorrow, something that we can also turn to that can help us with that flood of love is gratitude. I cannot stress to you enough the importance of gratitude practice, not just this time of year, but all year round, not just one day or a certain week out of the year, but every day. When we can practice gratitude, it brings us right to the present moment. It alleviates our anxiety. It deepens our connection with ourselves and with others, and it helps us focus on the things that are working in our life while also managing the things that are not working. So I am grateful for all of you for tuning in each week. Hello, Erica. Oh, dear friend, thank you for being here and for jumping onto these Facebook Lives. It is a pleasure and an honor to see you, Erica, and to all of you. This time, this season, I am forever grateful. Thank you so much for watching, for sharing, for commenting. It means a lot to me to have you here. And I will be here again next week. One thing that I wanted to share is I will not, I'm actually deciding in the Boundaries for the Holidays. We just wrapped up today, and it was an amazing experience hearing everyone's stories, for all the people who participated in Boundaries for the Holidays, the growth and the changes that they are going through is just really beautiful and amazing, and I feel honored to witness it. I have more to share about that. I was going to launch another Boundaries for the Holidays between now and Christmas, but I decided to set my own boundaries for the holidays. I'm going to actually take some time to be a little introspective to figure out what comes next for 2020. You know, this is a season as we enter fall into winter for that introspection. It's that time when we get really busy below the surface so new things can grow in the spring. And I have a lot of new things that I intend to grow in the new year. But right now I'm going to take a little bit of time to reconnect with myself, with my family, and with my vision of what's next. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, I will be on here every week for Living and Learning. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Griffin, for tuning in. And thank you to everyone else who watches this on the replay. I will see you next week, and I wish you a wonderful week of living and learning. And I'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.